Mars has freshly moved into Capricorn. There's 4 planets in Sagittarius. Our new moon is happening in Sagittarius on December 19th at 8:42 p.m. Chiron is trine this Sagittarius energy and square Jupiter, and Mercury is square the nodes. So what does that mean for you? First of all, I'm Sammy. I'm at Infinity Aura Ave, where I log in with you twice a month to check on the astrology for the full moon and the new moon, so we can chat about it and you can figure out how to use it for your benefit. I do a bunch of other stuff here at Infinity Aura Ave in the wheelhouse of wellness, both spiritually and aesthetically, and you can check that out at infinityauraave.com, where you can book me for a reading or you can just check out my shop. As usual, TikTok and YouTube get the full video. Instagram Reels only lets me post 3 minutes, so you get the highlights, and I promise you, you are going to want to check in on this one, because I'm going to talk about some things that have been going on for a long time. We're at the end of a very important transit, and I think personally that this new moon is going to unlock the next level for you, or you might be forced to repeat the cycle, right? That's how it works. So I want to get started. Let's bring up the chart. I want to get started talking about all the planets in Sagittarius here. Now, while a lot of this is helpful if you know your chart, a lot of times you just listen in and you can kind of get the gist of what's going on. But if you do know your chart, it helps. And what we're looking at today are the end degrees of a lot of signs. So we're going to start with the end degrees of Sagittarius. Sun in Sagittarius is optimistic. But Sun in Sagittarius in the end degrees is also ruled by Saturn. So you're looking at optimistic about stability. That's why this time of year we're getting ready for the new year, right? People are thinking about their goals for next year. They're growth focused, and there's a lot of confidence in the air. Moon in Sagittarius is restless, wants to have honest conversation, but is always ready to try new things. So this new moon in Sagittarius is about looking at the cycle that needs to start for you to get to the next level of where you want to go in the next year, right? This is kind of the real new year astrologically, as far as I'm concerned, if you're goal setting. And like I tell you, you can hop into goal setting at any time, but there are times where the timing is just, and this is one. Venus in Sagittarius is also here with the new moon. They're hanging out real close together. Venus in Sagittarius wants to explore creatively. She's got big ideas and she wants to develop them. And she's looking to connect with people who have shared ideals. This is less about emotional depth when it comes to Venus in Sagittarius, and it's more about just really being optimistic about the things you can create and the ideas that you have and the ideals that you believe in, right? Because Venus, if you look in somebody's chart, I just talked to somebody about this today, actually. If you look in somebody's chart and you're trying to figure out like what their love language is, Venus is where you look, right? 'Cause that's the ideals. That's what she really values. So that's the kind of energy that you're looking at. And in Sagittarius, she's fun. She's not so serious. She wants to play. She wants to get creative and she wants to look at these big ideas she has. Now, Mercury is also in Sagittarius too. But before we get to that, I want to talk about Mars and Capricorn, because look how close they are, right? You've got Mercury in Sagittarius just about like here, maybe. But Mars is closer to what's going on with this new moon. Now, Mars has just freshly moved into Capricorn, and Mars in Capricorn is slow and steady about getting things done. Mars in Capricorn wants to achieve, but wants to achieve in a detailed fashion and make sure that you're doing it right. The energy here is typically focused on long-term goals. This is not about getting grand progress, but it's more about getting a foundation set for what's to come. So now let's look at them all together, right? Because that's what do we call it? A conjunction. And even though they're in different signs, this is a true conjunction, right? Because they are within 10 degrees. Mars and Venus are a little bit outside the conjunction, but they are joined together by this energy. Like this energy brings them all together. And I want you, when you look at this chart, like there's these hard lines. It doesn't look like that in the sky, obviously. So even when there's a conjunction outside of different signs, this energy is still interacting. This is not a wall that's in between them and the new moon can't see Mars. Mars can see the new moon very clearly. This is manifesting the foundation for bigger ideas that expand knowledge, values, and ways to make money. But this is going to be a slow and steady pace in the beginning, right? Remember, Mars in Capricorn, slow and steady. This is really good energy for looking at your big goals and then going, okay, what's the most immediate thing I can do? Now, you have to be careful with Mercury and Sagittarius here. Let's talk about that now. Because you can wander off into daydreaming with Mercury and Sagittarius. That's daydreaming about the big ideas and the big bold moves that you can make. But Mars is the one that makes the moves. Mars rules action. And Mars is not supportive of big bold move actions right now. Now, this Mercury in Sagittarius is not all bad. It does bring more creative energy into the ideas and the thinking. It's focused on the higher truth and the truth in general. It's blunt, it's loud, and it brings exciting conversation, which is great for the holidays, right? You just have to watch out for it when it comes to really getting in your head, because that's what Mars rules, right? Really getting in your head about how things are going. Because if you're too deep in there and you're looking at the big picture and you're not focused on what Mars is capable of, it can be very frustrating. Now, I want to talk about Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. And we're going to go all the way back to 2011. So before I said, if you know your chart, we're looking at the end degrees in Sagittarius, right? I want you to look at where Pisces falls in your chart. Right now, Neptune and Saturn are at about 29 and 25 degrees Pisces. I have the chart over here, like the full chart. So that's why I'm doing that. But they weren't always there, right? In 2011, Neptune entered Pisces for the first time. It takes Neptune about 13 to 14 years to get through a sign. So we're going to talk about all of that. I hope you're ready. I'm going to move the North Node out of here, and I'm just going to pick up Neptune and Saturn. We're going to not, these are going to stay here, right? And we're only going to talk about these guys in here. I don't want you to look at this right now. Now, the way these planets move through the chart is this way, right? So before Pisces was Aquarius, Neptune was in Aquarius. And in April of 2011, Neptune moves into Pisces for the first time. And we've talked about retrogrades, right? You know what happens in retrogrades. They move backwards through the chart, right? So at some point, Neptune goes retrograde. Pretty shortly after, by the way. So Neptune goes retrograde in 2011 back into Aquarius. And in February of 2012, he ends up back in Pisces and never goes back to Aquarius, right? So we're looking at, you'll get a preview of what the energy we're talking about right now looks like when it first enters Pisces. Just a little bit. But from February 2012 is when we get a real good look at this energy and how it's affecting us. So let's talk about Neptune in Pisces. This is when you start to see a shift in the focus on spirituality. A lot of people start asking questions like, who's actually in line with my growth spiritually, right? Like, what am I doing with these circles and these groups that I'm in, and how are they affecting me? There turns a focus on boundaries or lack of. There's also the potential for confusion about personal power and what you're actually responsible for. Remember, we're talking about the house that Pisces rules in your chart. Do you feel helpless in this area? Or do you start to feel like you've been helpless in this area? Does it start to come to light that maybe I haven't taken as much responsibility in this area as I should have? Early degrees Pisces, okay? There becomes this meshing of physical and spiritual. And a lot of it ends up on the internet, right? People start talking about spirituality more online. And to go a little bit more with the social media stuff, there's also this blending of reality and what's real and what's not real. So people are posting, and they're posting these personas of them. As we go through this transit and we get to the energy of now, of today, you start to see more people posting more honestly. So Neptune is at home in Pisces, right? And like I said, it takes him about 13 to 14 years to go through a sign. So it takes him a really, really long time to get around this chart and come back. But he's seen some things. He's been to all his friends' houses, right? Each zodiac sign rules one of these houses. So he's been at all his friends' houses. So he gets back to his house and he's like, I think I want to redecorate. I don't love these boundaries. I don't love these groups and these people that I've been part of. They're not really aligning with the vision and my spirituality. I don't love how disconnected I feel, right? Like that's where the responsibility comes in. Like I feel like I haven't really taken care of this area. So Neptune starts to take a look around and, like I said, spends quite some time there and moves through his house, redecorating. Now, Saturn moves much quicker through the chart. And he shows up into Pisces in March of 2023. So let's talk about what it looks like when Saturn enters Pisces. Saturn in general is both the destroyer and the builder. And in Pisces, he brings a mixture of both hope and fear, of inspiration, but also hate and greed. Also, something that I think is funny is one of the last times, well, the last time that Saturn was in Pisces was like in the 90s. And that's when everybody was like heroin chic. And now everybody's on Ozempic. Okay. I say all that to say it is important to question the narratives of society because they do not benefit everybody. A lot of the social narratives, like the skinny stuff, the real skinny stuff, I'm sorry, but we saw it in the 90s and we're seeing it again, not the best for everyone. I'm also not saying it's not the best for no one. Anyway, I digress. Saturn in Pisces also wants you to explore spirituality. That's when you see a lot of people. By the way, Saturn spends about 2.5 years in a sign. I don't know if I went over that. So he moves through pretty quick, and he's going to move quicker through Pisces than Neptune is because he just moves faster. Anyway, so people start exploring their spirituality a little bit deeper rather than just what's popular. There's a need to look at the depths of the soul because that's what you're looking at in Pisces and really restructure things because that's what Saturn does. Saturn's also about commitment. So he wants you, now that he's in here, because Neptune and Pisces are very similar, he wants you to commit to those boundaries. And like I said, he wants you to use discernment when it comes to these fads and these trends and use your intuition. So the end of February, March of this year, I don't know exactly where in Pisces, but they start to get a little closer than they have been because Saturn's catching up, right, to Neptune. So they're starting to, not really traveling together, but they're getting close. They're not exactly conjunct, but they're close. So Neptune is home. He's been redecorating. And Saturn's like, hey, this is really nice, but I'm going to show you how to do it better. Saturn sees the vision, but he knows how to lay the foundation better. So he's coming through and he's like, I love all this work that you've done. It's really great. But we're going to tear all this down and we're going to take the ideas that you had and then we're going to put it back together better. Because Neptune's just kind of been in here redecorating. And Saturn's like, no, all the paintings have to come off the wall. You can't just move them. I want everything down and we're going to redecorate for real. So the end of March 2025, Neptune leaves his house. He goes and hangs out in Mars' house, right? Because Aries is ruled by Mars. So he's going to go to Mars' house. And Saturn's in here alone. And he's taken everything down off the walls. And he's really getting to town. And for the next few months, they're pretty close, but they're still in different signs. And the end of May, Saturn joins in Aries. And he's like, bro, I need you to come back. I need you to come back to your house. And I need you to see what I've done in there because I just need, this is your house, right? I need you to really take a look. So in July 2025, they start making their way back to Neptune's house. Saturn first, and by October, they're both in Pisces. And now, today, the retrograde's over. We're going to come back to this chart. We're here today. The retrograde's over. They are in the end degrees of Pisces, right? So they're cleaning this house up for the last time together. They're really putting their foot down on a lot of these things that we've talked about and getting the last paintings put back up on the wall. Saturn's like, I cleaned up in here. What do you think? And Neptune's like, oh, this is much better. Now I can finish and I can really see what I had to do in here. And they're going to hang out in here together until the end of January when Neptune moves into Aries. And then shortly following in February, Saturn moves into Aries as well, and they do not go back. That's when a lot of the action takes place. Because if you notice, we're at the end degrees of Pisces, but also what is Pisces? Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. So we're tying up a lot of things here. And then generationally, okay, because these are generational planets and they move very slow. And then we're going to move into Aries. And that becomes less about where you've been and more about where you're going. It's me, it's it's what's important to get where I have to go. And you're probably like, if this has been happening for so long, why are you talking about it now? Let me cook. But before I do that, I'm going to talk to you about Jupiter in Cancer because this new moon in Sagittarius is ruled by what? Jupiter. So we have to look at Jupiter. Jupiter takes about a year to move through a sign. So this is 2025, 2026. We're at the end of it. Jupiter's at the end degrees. He's also retrograde right now. So he's not at the end moving forward, ready to leave. He's at the end reviewing some things. Jupiter in Cancer wants steady growth and expansion. This is about solidifying bonds as opposed to the bonds that we've broken. This is also about sharpening your intuition and your dreams. Now, I'm about to land. We're going to bring this back to the new moon that's happening. Final degrees of Sagittarius, final degrees of Pisces, also ruled by Jupiter. Final degrees of Cancer. Jupiter's in the final degrees of Cancer. By the way, Cancer rules what? The moon. I like this chart a lot. I like this chart a lot. Think of what you're manifesting in the biggest way possible, because this is all Jupiter energy. Jupiter's the big guy in the sky. Follow Mars and Capricorn to see where you need to lay the foundation of what comes next, right? We're talking about slow and steady in the area of life that's ruled by Capricorn. What are the most immediate steps that you can take in that area of your life? What's the most important things to check off that to-do list? All of this is square Neptune and Saturn. All the work that they have done, all the energy that they have been carrying, and they're about to drop in here. They're about to leave because they've done all this and they're about to go somewhere else and do some more work. All that stuff that they just did together over the years, from when Neptune first got in there in 2011 to when Saturn first got in there in 2023 to now that they're together finishing up the work. This energy is like fighting this new moon. But in a square, it is a difficult transit, right? A square is a difficult aspect. But if you can work with it, you will see more progress than a transit that comes easier. I've talked about this before. If you don't take all of this energy and all of these lessons and use it productively, it can make you feel like, I can't do all that stuff that I want to do. That is not true. All of this stuff was meant to prime you for this. And this is a catalyst. Do it scared, do it tired, fake it till you make it if you have to. You don't have to make big, bold moves. You can't. You can't. You have to do what Mars is capable of putting into action. One last thing, I don't have Chiron on here. When I bought these and I painted them and stuff, like, I don't know if you guys remember, I used to have them hand drawn on here. This was a pack, so I never got a new one. I'm gonna have to get something for Chiron, because I can't just buy one. So I can't just put Chiron on here, but I've been talking about Chiron a lot. This moon is also trine Chiron in Aries and square Jupiter in Cancer. This is your wounds versus your intuition, or your wounds working well with what you need to get done. Use your experiences to help you, not to hurt you against what you know that you should be doing. This is not the time to be a pessimist. Everything is in Sagittarius. Optimism wins. This was a long video. Like I said, I'm really excited. I really like this chart. I hope this was helpful. If you need a personal reading, you can book me on infinityauraave.com. I will do Zoom. I just got into Google, what's it called now? It's not Hangouts anymore. It's Google Meet. I do Google Meet. Or if you're in the vicinity of Long Island and you want to come down to the studio, you can do that too. Coming up on almost a year that I've been in here, and my shop is pretty well stocked online. This looks a mess because I never bought furniture in the retail room because I didn't have any retail, and I spent the good part of this year building my retail. So please check it out. You don't have to buy anything. Just go look at it. I've got cool stuff on there. Some stuff that I've made, some stuff that I've sourced from other people. This is one of my favorite necklaces. This is a really cool piece, but this is handmade, hand welded by a girl who lives in Philadelphia. I've got my own beauty brands. I've got clean brands, clean beauty brands in there. I've got fixed candles if you're into that sort of thing. I hope so, because you're here. That's what we do, right? We manifest, we make shit happen. If you're not into the candles, I've got oils you can work with, and you can make your own candles. And I have more retail coming. I just first have to reorganize this retail space, but that's coming soon. And you'll be able to see that. Maybe I'll vlog it when I do it, or like mini vlog it or whatever. You can see it all online. It's organized much better online. Anyway, I'm Sammy. I'm here at Infinity Aura Ave where we are doing the moon meeting. We've checked in for the new moon. Like I said, it's happening on December 19th. What time? I gotta check again. Hold on 1 second. 8 something. 8:42 p.m. Get to it. Ain't nothing left but to do it. You guys want to hear some bars? I just shut the microphone off. I was gonna ask y'all if you want to hear some bars, but clearly the tech is not on my side. I don't have any bars anyway. That's enough. I'm gonna ramble. It was good to see you. I can't see you, but it was good to hang out with you. It was good to chat to you, and leave me some comments so we can actually chat. Like this video, share it with your friend who might need it. Subscribe if you're not, and I will see you next time for the full moon in Cancer. The full moon's going to be in Cancer. I believe it's the beginning of January. Okay, bye.